I started learning more about DevOps, and I first came across value stream mapping in the DevOps handbook. They talk about it as the first step in a DevOps transformation. You first understand how the work flows to the customer, and then you find the most important problem to solve, and then you solve it. What is a value stream? Value stream is the sequence of steps required to get an idea into the hands of the customer, creating value for them. And what is value stream mapping? It's a series of group activities where we visualize the flow of work from idea to customer value, and we identify inefficiencies, delays, and waste. And then we use what we've learned to create a roadmap of measurable improvement actions with the goal of delivering more value to the customer. Common motivations: onboarding customers faster, improving the quality of what we deliver to the customer, prevent service disruptions, and just waste less time day to day. An overview of what we are going to cover today. We're going to do a little bit of outcome mapping because this all starts with defining what's the outcome that we're trying to achieve. Then we're going to map an example value stream, understand what's going on there, measure it. We're going to skip dependency mapping because we don't have time today. We're going to do a little bit of future state mapping where we are going to design experiments that we think are going to improve what we deliver to the customer. And we're going to skip improvement roadmap because, again, we don't have time. Anything you want to add, Erika?
Perfect. And I maybe just already say that this is a super interactive session, so don't hold back. And if you have any examples or things from your daily work that you want to add to the conversation or get feedback on or see if that is similar to the things that we are discussing, please just give us everything you've got.
Let's get started. Let's imagine that we are a company delivering software and there's multiple teams involved. And we are trying to deliver twice as fast while maintaining quality. This is coming from our company goals, the conversations we have with leadership, and now we're trying to understand what do we get out of this? What are some obstacles, next steps that we can take?
So this is the outcome mapping.
Yes.
This is starting. Okay.
In here, we are assuming that we already have a process in place, right?
Yes.
We are trying to find ways to improve it, try to find, I don't know, how to make it faster, how to make it better in terms of qualities. So we're not starting something from scratch, but I assume the same kind apply if you want to build up a new process for it, right?
Yeah, the difference, if you're starting something from scratch, you're not doing current state mapping because there's no current state. You'd be doing future state mapping. You're imagining something for the future.
Okay.
The fact that a company wants to deliver 2 times faster and maintaining quality, is that a good thing? Questionable. There's no limitations. There is no right or wrong answer. Just go and dump your thoughts here. It's just as an exercise. You can write different outcomes as well, sure. Better ones. Anna.
Drawing from your experience in the real world, what have you seen? What got in the way in the past? And what have you tried?
Everything that's coming on the board now is perfect. Yeah, exactly what we were looking for. Very good.
Outcomes and benefits sounds a little bit the same, aren't they?
Deliver twice as fast in itself is not a benefit, something that you get. Why do we want to deliver twice as fast? We have here a good point, providing value fast to the customer. Make the product backlog short is an interesting one. Get things in the hands of customers, quicker revenue generation, test idea, getting feedback sooner.
Okay.
And why would we want to get feedback sooner? Is this something our customers really value? Are we just burning money, or are we delivering something that is going to bring us revenue, that's going to keep our customers with us, that's not going to have them churn?
My idea was give the customer the value as soon as possible, and if possible, even with lower costs.
Yeah, good point. If we deliver fast, we also get ahead. We have this feature our competitors don't. It may help us close deals, get investment rounds. What else?
The only obstacle I could think of was roadblocks which were not anticipated.
I think that's very good number of obstacles here. I think the release process.
If you ask us about obstacles, we can talk for days.
Yeah.
The list is long.
Yeah. The one that Pooja also says, with the clear release process, something that maybe that we can bring back when we go to the value stream mapping and see how that becomes an obstacle when we look at the value stream, which is a really good one. I think automation also plays a part there. Good.
Quick question in terms of, do you find that a lot of times execs and organizations would just go with the outcome? I want to deliver twice as fast, but not think about the why. So the benefit, I think that's a good, what you covered here about this is the outcome, but why are we trying to get there is not always clear.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of companies like to use metrics on certain things, like how fast are we delivering, or how many bugs have we solved, but does it really indeed provide any added value? Very often that's not one of the metrics because it's very difficult to make that tangible and concrete. One of the benefits of outcome mapping is making it really clear and having everyone aligned on what is the outcome, the real value that we want to see after this. And then maybe the outcome isn't always correct. Maybe the benefit is the thing that you want to strive for. And the way that you go about it might be completely different than the things that you initially thought you needed.
Yeah.
So the conversation in all of those things is most valuable.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, everyone, for pitching in. I'd love to continue the conversation about this, but in the interest of time, let's move on. We have our outcome. Let's understand our software delivery process and understand how can we deliver twice as fast while maintaining quality. So after outcome mapping, we would identify who are the people that understand the process, who do the work, and then who are the people who have the power to make these changes. Because it's very good that we understand at the team level what we need to do, but if nothing comes out of it, if then we don't have the power to make changes, we can be wasting time, we can be creating frustration in the teams. I don't understand, why are we not improving in this way, and so on. We need a combination of power and actual know-how. And then we would go through the process. What comes before delivering value to the customer? What are the steps? And we would get to something like this: plan, design, build, test, deploy, and release. Then we start measuring it. We start talking about cycle time. How long do each of these steps take? We then start talking about wait time. Between the steps, how long do things stay in the queue? How long after we build do we start testing? Build is done, the Jira ticket is done. Now it's in the backlog of the testing team, let's imagine. And how long until they pick it up?
Just to make it clear, we're using this as an example. This is not best practices. Just so that you know that this is not necessarily what we would advocate for as an ideal workflow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is just an example, and this and why are we doing this? Why are we measuring cycle time and wait time? Well, our outcome is to deliver twice as fast. So we really need to understand where our time is going so that we can take action in the right part of the value stream. Let's go to the first exercise. Let's imagine that we are the dream team. We have the power and the knowledge, and this is our value stream. Where is our constraint?
We are measuring here the cycle time and the wait time because we are aiming for the outcome, delivering 2 times faster. But actually, my question is more about how to have a secure release, reliable release, quality release. If my outcome is different, then there will be a different kind of mapping in the end.
Great question, Pooja. On point. We're not measuring quality here in this map. It's not showing up. If our outcome is to maintain quality, or if our outcome is mostly focused on quality, we really need to be measuring the quality at each step. And what does that look like? How many times do we plan something, but then the designers come back and say, this plan is too big, this plan is incomplete, we need to go back and forth, and we measure that, and that's our quality measure. The same with build and test. And then we can focus on those areas and have conversations with the people to understand what can we do to improve this quality? What do you need from us as leaders? How can we help you achieve higher quality?
Indirectly, it is adding up to cycle time to say. Of course, if there is way too much back and forward. So for example, from my product backlog to my actual feature development backlog, there is a lot of backwards and forwards. So my cycle time increases from 4 to 8 hours. So if I do an RSA on that, it means that then I will catch the bug. So where the problem is. So just trying to understand here the whole thing.
Yeah, great question. So as I mentioned, if you have a big wait time or cycle time, that's a clue that something is happening there. Let's talk to the people and understand. Anything that you want to add, Erika?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we first start to do is visualize what the flow of value looks like now for real. And during that time, you get a lot of conversations. So for example, if the testing team then says, we constantly need to send the work back to the development team because we're always finding things that are not working. And then there you have a moment that you can say, okay, here we see that the quality isn't good. Okay, we go back and see where it might happen that it's not good. Is there too much work? Are people context switching? For example, if there are many teams working on the same piece of the product, are they aligned very well? How are they collaborating? Is there enough communication between the teams? That's the conversations that you have whilst doing the value stream mapping. And that is where you then start to focus on, okay, how can we now ensure that we can and go faster, but also maintain our quality and have the discussion on where is the quality failing right now. So it's not necessarily something that in this very high-level value stream map is directly visible because of the time in between, but it are things that you start to focus on whilst you're having the conversations about when you make the value stream visible and you have the conversations, okay, where are we now losing quality and also where are we losing time? So it's two things that you might want to focus on then. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for the awesome questions. Really good, Pooja.
Yep. Yeah, just quickly to add, we don't have time today, but we do have some DevOps principles that we can use to address quality problems, something to get into later. Back to the exercise. Given that our desired outcome is to deliver twice as fast, where do we see our constraint here? What work process takes the longest? What delays longest? And what has the biggest impact on our outcome?
And if you see things that for you stand out, you can just, right below you have this marker. You can just click on it and just draw a circle around the space in the value stream where you see this is odd, this might be up for improvement, or here we see something that is concerning. Just put a marker and draw a circle so that we can see where you spot issues. And again, it's all assumptions, right? So we have no clue what those people are doing, just based on the visual. Oh, Marco has issues with everything, which is awesome because I would have those as well.
No, it's not issues. It's not issues. I'm going to tell you why I draw these green circles around here. It's because this is a real case. It is a real case. Yeah. So plan and design, there are usually steps or activities under the chief product officer, and then the build, test, deploy, release are under the chief technology officer. And sometimes those two guys don't get along. And the value stream mapping, the exercise that we have here, I think it makes sense. Plan, design, build, test, deploy, release. But a real initiative, in a real case, we need to convince them this is useful and it brings benefits. And sometimes it's easier to convince the chief technology officer, not the product one. So although there is a waiting time here of 9 hours, and I would say this is the biggest bottleneck, I don't know, but it seems to be, maybe we cannot right now change that because they don't get along, they don't care about this. So there is a scientific element on this exercise, but also a political one, I think, and an organizational one that we should take account. That's why I have put green circles around those steps.
Yeah,
that's just the reason.
And I think it will resonate with a lot of people that you just explained. And making it visual creates an objective, neutral environment in which you can start discussing what the results are of two people not getting along and not having good communication between them. So yeah, absolutely.
Great question. I just want to quickly add, I was talking yesterday with Phil, who's a VP of engineering. He's been doing value stream mapping at his company. And he points out that this is a way, mapping the value stream is a way for us to justify our technology investments. This is a way for us to understand how our investment is improving quality, affecting speed to market, and affecting closing deals and staying competitive. To your point, it helps in this communication between the CPO and the CTO.
To make it clear, I put the image here, I think most of you know, from John Cutler, about how flow happens in a lot of organizations. And we would always advocate to go as much down here as possible to ensure that you have as little handovers and as more stewardship over the value that you are delivering, of course. We're just taking this value stream now as an example because it has flaws in it. So I suppose that, Marco, for your example, they're absolutely not here. They're more like up there somewhere.
I have a question. Measuring cycle time, say that I have 20 teams. They have no clue about their cycle time for planning, designing any phase. There are no metrics that the company has ever used to measure it. Then doesn't the number there becomes more of a guesstimate? And then if we start working with the guesstimates, and the guesstimates of the cycle time and the wait time, how does that reflect to the reality? Of course, by doing this exercise, we are able to see what is going on, and seeing is believing. I get that. But then when these numbers are flaky, what then?
Great question. When we're going into this exercise and we're not measuring, we don't have the systems to measure, it's not good to delay mapping because we don't have the data. We can start with guesstimates. We get a lot of benefit from understanding the whole system, and then we can start to educate people on what we need to measure, how are we going to measure it, and we can start building the systems to measure this automatically, slowly over time. But to delay mapping the value stream because we don't have the most accurate data will delay the benefits that you get from this. Anything you want to add, Erika?
If you feel that it would be a discussion rather than about is it right or is it wrong, the numbers that you have, you can indeed always start measuring it from that point onwards. But then at least you have this benchmark, which is indeed an estimate and assumption that you can also then use for having incredible insights. If people think that something takes 2 hours and actually when you start measuring it, it takes 6 hours, that also says something. So sometimes just guessing upfront and then measuring it afterwards also is very interesting. It's a little bit like giving quotations on story points. How many story points would this be? The number really is irrelevant. It's the discussion and learning afterwards, was our guess a correct one and why is it or why isn't it? It's more important than getting the number right. It's a little bit the same.
You're touching on an important point because you're going to have to justify these numbers to senior leadership and they might be skeptical about it. You're going to have hard conversations. Start where you are and then improve where it matters.
Yeah.
And this is question, I'm not wanting to make it really personal, but the DORA metrics captures the cycle time.
DORA talks about the change lead time, would be the total lead time here, the cycle time and the wait time combined.
Combined. Okay. All right, please continue.
From experience from doing value stream mapping in organizations with a broad variety of stakeholders, people from management, people from the teams, people from everywhere, it's always funny that people from the business management side, I think things take much less time than the teams are actually delivering. So it's also nice to have that conversation with a big variety of people and see where there's a difference in assumptions or in what they perceive as time spent on things. Who drew the black ones around time between deploy and release?
I just noticed the 9 hours there as well. I thought just to address the most time-consuming part, regardless if that's the cycle time or a wait time, this is one. But then I thought, I see in the deployment, I have the 7 hours as cycle time and 6 as a group. I thought this is one. But then I was thinking the wait time should be considered as what? How to improve wait time? Is it wait time to release, for example, to accept? Or is it something else in between need to be considered? So we can at least hold the 6 hours accountable to which process group, I would say.
Great question. This wait time between deploy and release might be something that we need to improve, or it just might be time that we are using to collect data to see how our deployment is doing in the hands of, let's say, 1% of our customers. And then we see if we move forward with the release. Depends on the situation, and we need to ask the people on the ground what's happening.
Yeah. You always need to see, I think it was Pooja who said, we need to look at the process that we have in place. Are there quality gates in between? Is there enough communication? Maybe also what do the environments look like? For example, could be that they're testing in an environment that looks different than the one that you're deploying in. And maybe, again, new troubles arise at the moment that you want to deploy. It could be because the people who have built the software aren't able to deploy and release themselves, that there's a lot of steps in between. So all those things can, because of the fact that you make it visual, can become something that you can start uncovering and discussing. There's multiple reasons for any of these cycle times or wait times. Yeah.
When we say the cycle time, so we know where to focus our investigation, like within the deployment box or the release box. But when it's come about the wait time, so I think it can be different. So maybe there is something with the communication, I guess. Maybe the release, for example, is overloaded and trying just to prioritize work. Based on that, they have the 6 hours, or maybe something else. I don't know. Maybe just have to hand things manually or electronically. So this is what I thought. There is so many things can contribute to 6 hours. Okay.
Yeah, and very often also because you're thinking mainly about the time and how can we do it faster, and because that's one of the outcomes that we want. but very also maintaining quality. On the one hand, you want to have enough time to do your best work. But on the other hand, if you have a lot of wait time in between, those could be a cause of quality loss as well, because people start doing other things while they're waiting, and then work comes back, and then you need to go back into the thing that you were doing before. And that's usually not getting the best results. You need to have a balance between enough time to do the work well and not too much time in between to make sure that you can stay focused on what you're working on.
Cool. Yeah, we're already running out of time, so maybe we can talk about. Okay, so we will try to find a consensus on what do we think is our constraint here. Then we would, the things that you mentioned, we would try to understand what are contributing factors to these big wait times or cycle times. What's contributing to this? And then we would design experiments specifically to address the contributing factors to the constraint, so that we are focusing on what's going to affect our outcome the most. And this is the this is the main benefit of value stream mapping. We still have a few minutes. Recap of what we did today. We started by defining a target outcome. We talked about things that are similar to this, so faster feedback, happier customers, tech debt, daily obligations as obstacles. We mapped the value stream. We talked about possible constraints, some contributing factors, and we would design experiments to address these. Cool things that we didn't do today, but in the full session. We talk about sources of waste. And talking about waste sounds a bit scary to people on the ground. Am I being wasteful? Am I wasting my time? Do people think that? And it's really not about that. It's about the system of work. Things like defects, handoffs, Erika was mentioning, time and information lost, context switching. This all contributes to waste, and it contributes to these big wait times. And this helps us frame what's contributing to the constraint and helps us with the experiments. Because we're talking about software delivery, we would try to implement specific DevOps principles that help us. So there's three main principles. This is from the Phoenix project and the DevOps handbook. And so flow is the first one, or systems thinking. What tools do we have to achieve that? Continuous integration, so continuously integrating, testing changes, checking for quality. We have test-driven development, so we can build quality at the source, so that when we're pushing code, it has been tested. We know it has quality. Infrastructure as code, so that we have test environments that are the same as production, so that we can guarantee that if this works in testing, it will work in production. Second, we can amplify feedback loops. What tools do we have for this? We have monitoring, logging, alerts. When we push something to the customer, are we going to find out if something is wrong before the customer? This is very important. And third, we need a culture of continuous learning and experimentation. What tools do we have for this? We have blameless postmortems. Are we learning from our incidents in a way that we trust that people are doing their best work, and we are looking to improve the system and not blame people? Value stream mapping is an excellent tool for creating this culture. And the end-on chord, this is if you have a problem in production, if you have a problem in your test environment, it's not one person's job. Everyone stops what they're doing and they fix the problem, so that everybody learns what the problem was, how did we fix it, and you spread the knowledge like this. Wow, I'm tired of talking. I don't know if you have anything to add, any questions.
I'm just going to say something that maybe I should have said 10 minutes ago, but when Abdul, I think, was talking about the wait time between deployment and release, sometimes the wait time, it's not just our waiting time, it's the third-party vendor's wait time. And let me just give you an example. We implemented the Dora metrics a few months ago, And we discovered that between deploy and release, there were a lot of time, days. And actually for a specific device, it was the TV OS device. So it's an Apple device that we need to create a build and submit to the store. Then it gets reviewed by Apple and then it gets released. And we discovered that if we did a submission on a Monday, usually it gets released on a Friday, so 5 days later. But if we do the deployment on a Friday, it would be released on a Monday, so 3 days later, because not everyone is doing this on a Friday. And so Apple can do the review process a lot faster. So the waiting times, sometimes it's not just hours, it's a waiting time from the others that work with us. And we need to play with that and discover what are the ways of working and adjust our process to that. Then we can reduce the waiting time. Not everything is under our control. We need to understand the environment around us. Just an example.
And sometimes you indeed uncover constraints which you can't tackle in the moment, which is also good to have that in the visual. That is something that's a blocking constraint that you cannot fix or change. Yeah. Okay. I'm just curious, Marco, you said you've done a lot of this before in your previous...
I did, but not in software, It was in the automotive industry. So I worked in the company that we made embedded systems to put in production lines. And we need to calculate this to understand the impact on the production line. The production line was working 24/7. So any little tiny improvement would be having a big impact in the end of the month or year, something like that. So we did that. I did this very many years ago, and I'm still trying to remember everything, but not in software. I never done this in software, never.
Okay. And was this helpful then to have this?
Very,
device?
very helpful.
Yeah.
Very,
Okay.
very.
I'm happy. Okay.
This is what we would do in a full workshop. It's more detailed, has more sessions. So we'd look at the current state map, then we'd look at dependencies affecting us. Examples are what Marco mentioned about this external dependency. We do a more detailed future state map, and then we'd sequence those improvements into actions with measures of progress owners. And then we have usually 3 months of follow-up. Every 2 weeks, we are talking to people and understanding how are the improvements going, if we need to change direction, and what have we discovered by taking action. I'll send you some resources that you can use to learn more, and you can reach out to me or Erica for any follow-up on this, and I'll be reaching out to all of you for a follow-up call to talk about, okay, what did you think? What's your feedback? And are you curious to do this in your context?